optional, totally optional, is to just do this beginning part on a chair. And I'm offering up this option today because one of our soul shiners, actually a couple of our soul shiners have just recovered from some surgeries, from some things like that. So getting down on the floor may not be the most comfortable place for them. So just know if you are doing this with me live or if you're watching the replay, chair is totally optional. But sometimes it's nice just to have and get up off the ground for a minute. So, all right. So once you get in whatever seat feels good, I want you to firmly, if you're on a chair, firmly plant the soles of your feet on the ground. If you're sitting cross-legged on the ground, just really feel your sits bones sink down into the surface beneath you. And we're just gonna gently close our eyes. And so whether it's a chair, the floor, or a bolster beneath you, on your next exhale, feel your body weight sinking down into that surface. A comfortable heaviness through your hips. And then the opposite happening through your spine, a sense of lift, elevation. Feel the length of your spine from its base all the way up into your neck. It's almost as if you've got a little energetic string running from the base of your spine all the way up and then out through the top of your head. And once you have your seat and your good posture, then I'd like you to redirect your attention to your breathing. Don't try to change it or modify it, just breathe. And begin to observe what's moving because of your breath. What's expanding? What's contracting? What's rising? What's falling? And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Feel more expansion in your rib cage, not just the front of your body, but expansion in the side body, the back body. And then notice what's going on in the brain. Is it busy? Is there a lot of chatter up there? Don't judge it. Pretty typical to have a little chattery brain. Can you give your brain a job? And that job is only to listen to the sound of your own breath. Just for a minute of your day, can you let go of the chatter, the to-do lists? Give your brain a very simple task. Listen to every inhale and every exhale. Just a little bit longer. Once again, return your attention back to your physical body without judgment. Do a little body scan, top of your head to the tips of your fingers and toes. Are there any places that are in need of a little extra love, a little extra attention this evening? As you move through your practice, keep these places of need in mind. Maybe spending a little extra time there, maybe limiting your range of motion there, maybe just breathing deeper. Before we open our eyes and begin to move, let's set a collective intention for this practice, just to be present. Can you stay present? Not just physically, I don't expect anyone to evaporate, but can you mentally, energetically stay present? Sometimes that's hard to do when we're in a house with life moving around us. So every time you feel yourself being pulled, either back into your past, what happened earlier in the day, or forward into your future, what's for dinner, what am I going to do tomorrow? When you feel yourself being pulled into anything but the present, just gently bring your attention back to your breathing, back to the connection of your hands, your feet, your body, connection with the floor, the mat, or the chair. And with that intention of presence in our hearts, go ahead and slowly flutter your eyes open. You can wiggle your toes and fingers. And then however you're sitting, whether you're on the chair or the floor, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to scoot away from the back of the chair so that my arms have a place to move. So we're going to take our hands behind us and very loosely interlace our fingers, meaning that your palms are still open back there. Then we're going to slide our hands over to our right hip. And then this right elbow, pull it in and close the palms perhaps. If that's too much on your left shoulder, don't close the palms. If your rib cage just flared out and blew open like a little girl at the end of her gymnastics routine, pull your low ribs in, lengthen your spine, and breathe. So you're going to feel the stretch mainly in the very front portion of your left shoulder. You'll feel it other places too. And we're going to slowly start to move our head. So we're going to kind of look over our right shoulder down at the floor. And then think about a diagonal line, just glancing up at maybe the spot where the wall and the ceiling meet. So just do that a few times, down in that diagonal, and then up. Just keep your breath steady. Down, and up, down, and then we're going to return our head to center. Now it's as if you are going to listen with your right ear to your right shoulder. So we're just going to drop our right ear straight down. And if you like, you could just close your eyes here. Again, if you're kind of hyperextending your low back, pull your low ribs back in. And just take some nice deep breaths. Good. Slowly switch sides. So we start with those open palms back there behind our back. Slide our hands over to our right hip. And then as we pull our left elbow more in towards our body or straight back, you're going to close your palms. Good. So again, stretch is more on the front of your right shoulder. And now we're going to look down in a diagonal line over our left shoulder and then diagonal line up. Take this slow, deep breaths. We accumulate a lot of tension in our shoulders and our neck throughout the day, especially for those of us that spend a lot of time in front of a computer screen. We get a lot of shoulder and neck tension. Good. Dropping your head down again and then bring it back to center. And now our left ear is going to listen to our left shoulder. You can close your eyes, relax your left shoulder down, deep breaths. Good, one more deep breath here. Inhale and exhale. Bring your head back to center. And then let's release our hands. We're going to bring our fingertips to our shoulders. And we're going to roll our elbows forward, up, back, and down. And just keep circling like that. Up, back, down. So this office is right next to a hair salon. There's a lot of action happening over there, but this made me think of hairdressers. Man, talk about heavy in the shoulders and the neck. This could be a good one. I know we have a couple salon owners in our Soul Shine tribe. You may want to try this one. Good. All right. Now, this one's kind of funny. We're going to bring our forearms to touch. And if they don't touch all the way, that's okay. But think about from your fingertips to your elbows squeezing in. So you're engaging your pectoral muscles, okay? Small range of motion here. We're going to go up a few inches and down. Trying to keep your elbows squeezing in the whole time. Keep going. Up and down. Up and down. Couple more. Up and down. Last one. Up and down. Good. Release. Take your arms straight out to the side. Imagine you've got light bulbs in both hands, okay? So we're going to rotate. We're going to screw one light bulb in as we start to unscrew the other one. So you're alternating. One shoulder rotates internally while the other shoulder rotates externally. So back and forth. And just as a note, what we're doing tonight is a more restorative practice. Great for, you know, end of your day, just when you need a little more softness in your practice. But if you wanted just a little more, if you're doing this in the morning, you could still do this practice, but maybe you're doing all these moves standing up, right? Instead of sitting either on a chair or the floor. Good. One more each side. Nice. back to center. Now we're just going to do huge circles back with our arms, just big ones. Up, back, down, crack, 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 pop, pop, pop. Good, one more. Nice. All right. And let's see, my two ladies are actually here live. You're on, oh no, Jody's not on a chair. Okay, but Jody, you can still do this without a chair. So we're going to cross our right ankle over our left knee. Now, if you're on the floor, it just looks like this. Okay, so either way, we've got our left ankle on top of our right knee. We're going to sit up tall. Unless you're on the floor, you may have to be in that little bit of an angle. All right, so if you're on the floor, just kind of walk your chest, your heart towards your thigh. If you're seated on a chair, try to keep your spine in extension, meaning really long, and just bring your heart kind of over your front leg, top leg. Good, you can close your eyes, take 5 deep breaths. So we're getting into our glute medius, our piriformis. This is something you could do at the office, by the way. I guess you could do this whole thing at the office, since that's where I'm at. Good, slowly come out. So if you are on the floor, just gently release your leg, switch sides for all of us. Okay, find that base. So down, whatever is in contact with the seat or the floor, really anchor there. And dorsiflex this top ankle, meaning that you're bringing your toes towards your shin. Good, spine in extension if you're seated on a chair, and then slowly lean forward. Ooh. And yes, we typically have one side that gives us a little more oof than the other. Good, slowly come on up, and let's release. All right, one last thing, if we are in a chair or on the ground, we're going to interlace our fingers and bring them right to the base of our skull. And be mindful of this part of your spine. Your cervical vertebrae are very tiny. If you've ever seen a skeleton, right, they get really, really little up here at the top of our spine. So be mindful of that. That's why I don't do headstands anymore. Haven't done a headstand for probably 8 years, because once I got into anatomy, I was like, oh, should we be putting our body weight on those tiny, tiny little bones? I came away with no. So be mindful of that as you slowly round your spine. So you're drawing your navel in, and the weight of your arms are just putting a little added pressure there on the back of the head. Round everything in. Get a big stretch right down all those extensor muscles of your spine. Good, and slowly come on up and release. Okay, I lied. I do that sometimes when I teach. So we are going to keep the chair if you're using a chair. I'm going to show the chair version first, and then I will show the on the ground version first. Jody, you probably already know the on the ground version, but we're going to turn to our right. So if you're, like I said, I'll show the ground version in a minute. So on a chair is really nice for this twist, because we don't want to twist our lower back. That's not our goal. It's never our goal to rotate our lumbar spine, if you didn't know that already. You want to keep that part of your spine pretty stable. It's not, it doesn't have the patience, we'll call it. It doesn't have the patience for rotation. What's supposed to rotate, however, is your cervical spine, obviously, and your thoracic spine, right? So higher up in the spine is where we want to feel this rotation. So the chair and the ground give you feedback, because You got these bony little things under your butt, the ischial tuberosities. Those are going to press down into whatever surface you've got beneath you. And then with the chair, you can use the back of your chair. So you take your right hand to the far edge of your chair, and then left hand to this closer edge. We really ground through those sits bones first, knowing that we're not looking to rotate our lumbar spine, our low back, but rather higher up in our thoracic. So once you do that, I'm going to do it this way too. So a couple ways you could do it seated. You could be just sitting in simple cross-legged position, right? And rotate this way. Or you could cross a leg over, that one, and use that leg as a little torque, right? To rotate around. Either way, I'm going to stay on the chair personally. And we're going to get there, get in our rotation, and breathe for about 5 deep breaths, okay? So here we go. Find your rotation and breathe. Good, slowly come out. And if you're in your chair, you just do this little boop, 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 over to the other side. Interesting. My feet don't want to touch on this side. Okay, grounding first, knowing that the lower back is not our focus for this rotation. Bring your left hand to the far side of the chair back, right hand closer to you. Lift, elevate your heart away from your pelvis, and then slowly rotate and take 5 deep breaths. Good, slowly untwist yourself. All right, let's come up. 2 options for down dog, actually 3. So down dog, very traditional yoga asana, hands on the ground, looks like a big upside down triangle. I love the chair, or even better is a countertop for this one. So I have a counter right here, I'll use it. So this is what it looks like on a counter. Walk back, soften your knees, let your heart drop down towards the ground. So good on the shoulders, but we can also do that on a chair. You could do the back of the chair, or you could do, got the flexibility, the seat. That's going to be more hamstrings. Or, like I said, traditional Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog. Holy cow, my calves are tight. Down on the mat. That's going to put a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So I know we've got a lot of you that have shoulder injuries. So it's going to be way more beneficial for you to be up on something, whether it's a counter, back of the chair, seat of the chair. You're still going to get that awesome stretch all down the back side of your body. Good. If you're using a chair, look at your hands. Even if you're not using a chair, look at your hands, walk your feet up towards your hands. All right, so if you're on the ground, your fingers are either on the ground or on a yoga block. We're going to take our feet out off of the mat. All 10 toes point straight forward. We're going to elongate our spine. You could, again, you can stay on the chair for this, totally up to you. Right hand's going to stay down on the chair. Again, rotation is in our thoracic spine. So as our left arm extends up, you can imagine right here on your butt, you've got like a tray full of full glasses, right? Full drinks. You got nice iced tea glasses sitting back there, and we don't want to spill them. So again, you can be down here for this. Let's switch sides. Good, hands down. If you're using a chair, you can just stand up. If you're not, bend your knees, place your hands on your hips, press into your heels, and slowly come up to standing. Good. Next little move, we're gonna go back and forth in what's called skandasana. It's like a side lunge. I love the chair for this. Can you tell I used to teach chair yoga? Our feet position is gonna be a little different. So this, again, your hands could be on the ground for this. They could be on yoga blocks for this. If you feel like hands on a chair doesn't give you enough stretch. We're gonna change our feet for this one. So all 10 toes are now out at like a 45-degree angle, okay? So we're gonna bend our right knee. You always want your knee and your ankle to track the same direction. So inner thigh. And then as we come to center, we're gonna round our back, pull our navel in, and then switch. Other knee bends, extend your spine long. So we're doing two different things. We're multitasking. That's what we do, right? We are not only getting into our inner thighs, our adductors, but we're also taking our spine in and out of flexion and then extension. So the flexion is the rounding. The extension is when you really lengthen your spine. Keep going. Good, one more each direction. And then back to center. Toe heel your feet in towards each other. If you're not using a chair, press your fingertips into your shins, lengthen your spine. And then on your exhale, fold into standing forward bend, Uttanasana. If you're using a chair still, same thing can be done. Press your hands into the chair, extend your spine, and then exhale, bend your elbows, drop your forehead towards the chair. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold. Two more. Extend and fold. Last one, extend and fold. Good. All right. So come on up nice and slow. You never want to stand up fast. Even though I do that like 10 times a day. If you had been using the chair, go ahead and take it off to the side. We are going to come down onto the ground. So for those of you that, again, are recovering from surgeries, from injuries, anything where you feel safest on a chair, that could be the end of your practice. That was about 20 minutes or so. That's a great thing to do. So if you feel like you got to turn the video off, go do something else, maybe get outside, go for a little walk or something like that, this would be a good time to transition. Otherwise, we're coming onto the ground and we're going to be on all fours here. So if you have sensitive knees, sometimes doubling a yoga mat, getting a thicker yoga mat, practicing with your yoga mat on carpet is a good deal. So tuck your toes under back there. And then we've got our wrists right under our shoulders, our hips right over our knees. And we're going to again find that extension and contraction. So take a big deep breath in for me to begin. On your exhale, round like a cat at Halloween. Pull your navel in, tuck your chin into your chest. And then on the inhale, the opposite. Extend your body long. I see so many people doing cat and cow, and they come into this huge back bend, which is fine in your 20s. But after you do that for a couple decades, you start to really tick off the lower back. So instead of dropping into a big back bend here, think more of extending your spine, getting your heart and your pelvis to move away from each other. Good, one more. Good, then a little balance. So even though this is restorative, it's really great just to engage your core, get a little sense of balance between the right and left hemispheres of your brain. So even before bed, kicking desks, even before bed, this move can be a good one. So let's extend our left leg back. Lift it up to about the height of your left hip, no higher. And then walk your right hand fingertips out. And that could be it. That could be good. You could be firing up your glutes. Good to go, right? You could also extend your right arm in line with your right shoulder. Breathe. One more breath. And then slowly release. In between sides, let's make fists with our hands, just to give the wrist a break. And we're gonna do a little lateral flexion now of our spine. So side to side, one sideways shortens while the other lengthens. Back and forth. And then come on back to center. All right, palms flat again onto the floor. Let's switch sides. Extend your right leg back, bring it up to about the height of your hip. And now keep your core strong as you walk your left fingertips out. Again, you're welcome to stay here if this is enough of a challenge, or float your left arm up in height with your left shoulder and breathe. Good, slowly bring them down. Now let's move into our first child's pose of the evening. So big toes touch and knees are so wide that you can easily rest your torso down in between them, okay? So think of anchoring your hips here. And if this is too much flexion for your knees, you can always roll up a yoga blanket and put it just behind your knees so that you don't go into full flexion here. Totally up to you. I wish you guys could see what I'm seeing. There are these huge windows. We're right on Main Street here in Gunnison. And like so many people keep walking by, like looking in. Good thing I don't care. All right. Walk your fingertips out. And let's just come down to kind of your natural forward fold here. Meaning, you know, we don't have to stay on our fingertips. Just let your body kind of rest. You know what I really like is make a pillow with your hands. Rest one cheek on that hand pillow. And just relax your hips. Let it be all about your hips sinking toward your heels. You can envision little sandbags, little weights pressing down into your hips. For the sake of symmetry, let's turn our head the other direction. Last deep breath. And then take your hands right under your shoulders. Use your hands to press down into your palms. Let's bring our weight off of our heels. Take a moment just to stretch out the ankles. So extend your right leg back and then push your weight back into your right heel. And you can do a little bit of movement here. Switch sides, extend your left leg behind you. Get a little rocking motion. All right, back to all fours. Now we're going to step our right foot to the outside of our right hand. If it didn't make it all the way there, it got like here. Grab your ankle, give it a couple little jogs forward. Okay, so we're going to sink down into a low lunge. So our left knee is still on the mat. Weight is moving forward into our right heel, ball of our right foot. If your knee is starting to track away from your body, squeeze it in towards your armpit. And take 5 deep breaths. One more breath here. And then we're going to shift our weight back. Now, I'm going to grab my chair only because I know where my hamstrings are at right now. So you could use yoga blocks, you could use your chair again, but your right foot is still forward, but now we're going to dorsiflex that ankle again. So pull the toes of your right shin, pull the toes towards your right shin. And then with that extended spine, we're going to bring our heart forward. So this may look very modified, but I can tell you that because my leg is perfectly straight and I'm pulling back through my right hip, my spine is an extension. I'm not collapsing and rounding forward. I'm getting way more out of this asana than I would if I did the impressive version that we all see. It looks cool, but it's really not doing a whole heck of a lot for all of your hamstrings. We're trying to get all of those suckers right now, and you have multiple. So to do that, your pelvic bowl has to tilt backwards. Do you see the difference? Right? This is your pelvis rolling forward. This is your pelvis tilting back. A couple more breaths. Good, and to come out of this, again, just kind of slide that right knee back under you. I'll turn this way just for the heck of it. You don't have to stay facing the same side. So let's start with left foot forward this time. It's going to go, left foot is on the outside of our hands. So our hands are down on the ground. If you don't feel a whole lot out of this stretch, try sneaking your right knee further back away from you, away from your hands. Good. And breathe. Good, slowly come on back. So hamstring stretch. Feel free to be on something just so that you can set yourself up for success. Ooh, a lot of S's in a row. Dorsiflex your left ankle. Pull your left hip, your left sits bone back away from your left ankle. Extend your spine, keep your pelvis pushing back so you have more space in your torso, more room between the top of your pelvis and your sternum between your chest. And you want to feel this stretch, the sensation of this stretch should be in the belly of your muscle, in your hamstrings, meaning that you don't want to feel this all up here in your booty. What that is connective tissue, and that's not supposed to stretch that much. It's got a little leeway, but it's not like a muscle. And then let's release, slide your left knee under you. We're back to all fours. Now we're going to do a little shoulder love here. So from all fours, you're going to take your right arm and bring it under your left. We're going to come down onto the right shoulder, right side of your head. Left hand is going to be right in front of your face. Remember where rotation is really meant to happen in your body, your thoracic and cervical spine, right? So here you can imagine your tray of drinks behind you again on your butt. And as you push into your left hand and draw your left shoulder away from the floor, it's your thoracic spine that's just rotating a little. It's probably not going to be some huge dramatic twist. Every exhale, let the weight fall into your right shoulder. One more breath. To come out of this, push down into your left hand, slowly release your right arm. In between sides, we're going to do some hip circles. So walk your hands forward a few inches, shift your hips forward, over to the right, back to the left, and forward. Then switch directions. Push your hips left, back, right, and forward. And then come back to center and we'll switch sides. I'm just going to turn around my mat so I'm facing the camera and not talking to the back wall. So this time our left arm is going under us. The weight is on our left shoulder. Right hand is in front of our face. Our hips are as square as they're going to get. And then push down into your right hand and draw your right shoulder back away from the ground. 5 full breaths. Come out of this, push down into your right hand, release your left shoulder, walk your hands out a few inches. Let's go back into our hip circles. One to the right, and one to the left. And then back to center. So come to a seat, whatever that means for you, however you need to get there. And then once you're in a seat, let's lower ourselves down onto our backs. We're going to do some bridge rolls. So with your bridge roll, I want you to think about your spine and every vertebra on your spine being like a little pearl. So think of a pearl necklace, right? If it wasn't clasped, then that pearl necklace was just laying here on the ground. And you took one end of the pearl necklace and you slowly started to lift it up away from the ground. That's how I want you to feel about the vertebra in your spine. So you're articulating them. You're moving one at a time up off the ground. And then as we come back down out of bridge, you're laying one curl at a time back down onto the mat. So arms by your sides, palms facing down. Just take a few breaths here. And I want you with your breaths to pull your navel down towards the spine every time you exhale. So try that for a few rounds. And it's okay if you sound like Darth Vader. Do it 2 more times. All right, now we're ready for our bridge rolls. So feet hip width distance. We're gonna press down into our feet, squeeze the glutes, and slowly peel one curl at a time off of the mats, hips high. And then as you come down, same deal. See if you can press one vertebra at a time back into the mat. Big breath in. On the exhale, we peel again from the bottom of the spine all the way up to that C7-ish, somewhere around there. And then back down, pressing one vertebra at a time. So we're going to do one more of these rolling bridges. Big breath in first. Big breath out as you peel your spine off of the mat. And back down. Nice. All right, hug your knees to your chest. Rock a little bit side to side. Let me go into happy baby. So happy baby is a big hip opener, which is such a funny term in yoga, but it just means really external rotation of your hips. Let your knees fall to the side of your torso. Reach up and grab your feet. The closer your legs are to a 90-degree angle, the more intense it's going to be. So if it's too intense to be up here, then let your heels fall a little bit and maybe grab a hold of your ankles or anywhere on your lower legs. That's going to take some of that intensity out. Now here, I want you to do like we did right before we did those bridge rolls. I want you to focus on exhaling all your breath out and really drawing your navel to your spine. One more deep breath. And then this was a good spot. If you had a wall right in front of you, it'd be really nice and easy to just do a little legs up the wall. If you don't have a wall, I don't want to get up and get the chair, but you can also use the chair. If you don't feel like doing any of that effort, just take your feet up over your hips and let's close our eyes and let your ankles do some circles. So just circle your ankles around up there. Now circle in the other direction. Good, one leg at a time, bend your knee, bring a foot down, and then do the other leg. Now some options here for Shavasana. So if your lower back is cranky at all, again, the chair is great. If you had your heels up on the chair, that kind of relaxes your lower back. Or you can do like I'm doing, which is like a teepee. Make your legs into a teepee where your knees are touching, your feet are wide. Sometimes that works. It all depends on our body, our anatomy. Sometimes it's nice to put a yoga block between the knees or the thighs. And this is just if your low back is grumpy. If it's not, and you feel like laying flat, go ahead and stretch your legs out. And we want our arms a good distance from our torso. If they aren't already, let your eyelids close. Bring your attention to the weight of your body, comfortable heaviness into your limbs, comfortable heaviness from the knuckles of your hands all the way up through your shoulders. Let your palms soften so your fingers just naturally curl in. Feel the weight in your legs from your heels all the way up to your rear end, to parts of your back, to the back of your head. With every exhalation you take, put those points of contact with the floor. Get a little bit heavier. And let go of any tension that you're holding in your abdomen. Soften your belly. Soften your face, your forehead, your temples, your jaw, your mouth. Let it all be soft and relaxed. Let your breath flow, smooth and natural. If your mind is distracted by thoughts, you can once again bring it back to the sound of your own breathing. Allow those thoughts to drift by. No interaction with them. We're not trying to change them or be a part of them. That thought is just there one moment and gone the next. Take a few more deep breaths. If you're watching the recording, you can stay here for as long as you'd like. But for now, we're going to slowly begin to bring movement back into our toes, into our fingers. On a big breath in, go ahead and stretch your arms up over your head, reach your toes away from your torso. And then bend your knees. Gently roll onto your right side, your right arm resting, or rather your head resting on your right arm. Keep your eyes closed as you use your hands to help press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Let's gather our hands together at the center of our heart. As we move through the remainder of our day, let's take this little nugget of wisdom with us. That when we live in the present, everything is so much richer. Our memories, our senses. Let's try to stop glorifying being busy, but rather let's put some emphasis on being present. May the benefits of this practice move with you today. Namaste.